Thank you so much. I'm going to jump right into it. Monday, of course, is our builders call, and system builders is what we're all about. And the most important training call, in my opinion, is to be on the How to Build a Business call, and that's on Mondays, noon Eastern. I'm going to jump right into the Infinity Compensation Plan, and recently, as many of you know, the Infinity Compensation Plan has been updated for 2015 with some very exciting changes and some new bonus features added to it. So we've taken a good thing and made it even better. You know, the motto, lots of people doing a little being led by a few doing a lot, and that is incorporated into our compensation plan. The compensation plan is very brilliant and very powerful. Let me jump right into it. You know, it's about teamwork, and teamwork that makes the dream work. Being a lone wolf out there is tough. You know, being together, the synergies that are created, the leadership, the ability to lift and raise others up, you know, that 2 + 2 = 10 kind of a synergies happening, and the compensation plan feeds into that. An integral part of our business system is the compensation plan. You know, how do ordinary people achieve extraordinary success? How can ordinary people achieve extraordinary wealth? It's with a powerful system and a powerful Infinity Compensation Plan. The idea is using systems and using the compensation plan to leverage. Now, what do we mean by leverage? Well, if you look at a tool like a fulcrum or a block and tackle or any tool that's out there, any machine, engine, tool, etc., the idea is to be able to do more work in less time with less effort. And that's the idea behind the system. System allows you to leverage your time, leverage your talents, and quit trading time for money. Solves many problems that are faced by people in business, in our industry, and in life, right? And not only having time freedom, but also having financial freedom as well. And my question to you is, would it be a noble exchange to exchange an orange for an orange tree, right? No-brainer, isn't it? And wouldn't it be a no-brainer to exchange an orange if you were able to keep, how about an orange grove? And that's part of the noble exchanges that we have at Freedom Equity Group that allows people to come in, get licensed, get trained, get raised up, and move up the compensation plan, the compensation ladder. You know, the compensation plan and our system solve the biggest problems faced by folks in the industry and in general, you know, in sales and business in general. And that is, where do new customers, new clients come from? It solves the prospecting problem. The compensation plan solves the problem of trading time for money, right? There's only so many hours in a day. There's only so many people that you can see. And by the way, you know, if you spend all of your time, you know, chasing after clients and so on, you know, it doesn't leave much time for lifestyle, doesn't leave much time for family. And how can you ever grow to that multiple six-figure, multiple seven-figure income level? The only way to do that is with a powerful compensation plan, an Infinity Compensation Plan like we have at Freedom Equity Group. Also, it solves the revolving door. You know, if real estate's a prime example. If you look at, you know, in the real estate business as a broker, you hire new agents, you train them, and your sharpest ones, what do? They leave you. They become your competition down the street, right? And that opens up the revolving door. You know, not being able to have the same contract that you have. Well, we have that here, where you're not holding anyone back. In fact, folks can pass you if they do the numbers and the activity that's required, right? In fact, don't we want to encourage that in essence when someone passes us in the compensation plan, but we still receive an override, but on a larger growing share or larger revenue base, more sales and more activity, right? You know, some of the guidelines to follow, of course, is that personal business is being done with your trainer. You know, a minimum 3 training sales. You can split sales with your trainer forever, and that's okay. You know, there are some folks that that they prefer to do that as a part-time referral agent. But the minimum is 3. You can do as many of those training sales as you would like going forward, right? And of course, you know, all our trainers must be qualified. All splits are 50-50 unless otherwise agreed upon. And generally speaking, it's an automatic split if the trainer is meeting with the client, right? And these are things to just kind of make sure you work out beforehand so there's no misunderstandings later on. So let's talk, excuse me, let's dive a little bit deeper and talk about how the compensation plan solves the problem of prospecting. Well, as we bring new agents, new business partners, new associates into our business, they bring entirely new markets with them. And I say to folks, you know, the question comes up is, what sort of a leads program do you have? And I said, well, you know, I don't even want to call it a leads program because it is such a higher life form than leads, right? What are leads? Leads are generally expensive. You're paying lots of money to talk to folks that maybe have been contacted over and over again. They're disinterested. They don't care about you, etc. Whereas our program, our marketing plan is the best prospecting program on the planet. Not only does it not cost you anything, but it actually makes you money, right? Because these new folks coming into our business are now taking us to their markets, right? Their friends, their families, their mother, brother, sister, best friend. And we're received very warmly and with open arms. They want to help the new agent, the new associate coming into the business. It solves the problem of training and then losing our best people because everyone in the company has the ability to go to the top. There's no blockage. In fact, it's encouraged to go to the top and get there as quickly as possible. And of course, that solves the whole revolving door. You do the contract, you do the percentages, you do the numbers, you get the contract, and you get the compensation. It has nothing to do with your politics, your golf score, you know, who you're nice to, or what. None of that stuff. It just do the numbers and get the promotion, right? Your best people can become your competition in that revolving door scenario. And then after you've been in the business for a while, do you endlessly want to be chasing after sales, right? It doesn't matter, you know, in the sales business, it doesn't matter how good of a job, you know, it's like shaving, right? It doesn't matter how good of a job you did yesterday. You've got to wake up and do it all over again tomorrow. You're not really building a business. You're chasing after the sales constantly is, you know, it's like being on a treadmill, right? Chasing after the cheese. Eventually, you want to have the leverage and the time freedom and lifestyle as well, right? And again, leveraging your time, leveraging your efforts. You can also, as I said before, there is no blockage, and in fact, it's encouraged for folks to go to the top of the compensation plan and still override them. You never lose them. That's an industry agency problem out there, is how do you retain good quality people and yet still provide for an override. J. Paul Getty said, I love this, I would rather have 1% of the efforts of 100 than 100% of my own. And as you know, it used to be Getty gas stations out there. It was the oil baron, one of the wealthiest men in America in his time. You know, I love the story of Mr. A and Mr. B, and Mr. A says, you know, I want 100% of that for myself, right? I want 100% contract, and focused on that high personal contract percentage. Mr. B understands the power of overrides, the power of spread, the power of teamwork, synergy, multiplication, and leverage, right? And if we look at this, we say, well, if Mr. A makes a sale, well, he gets the 100%. If he makes no sales, well, then he gets 0%, right? He takes time off, goes on vacation, maybe gets sick, etc. On the other hand, if Mr. B said, you know, I was taking, let's say, a 65% on what is our new VP contract, 65%, and I had a few people on my team who had a few people on their team and so on, isn't that like a 540% contract? I mean, if you sat down and added this up. And by the way, of that 540%, if Mr. B makes no sales, you know, how much of that does he get to keep? And whether he goes on vacation, leverages his time and leverages his efforts and so on. If you look at this and you say, you know, if I had 100 people on my team and my average spread, my average override was 10%, isn't that like having 1,000% contract? Where in the agency, in the traditional agency world, could you ever get a 540% contract or 1,000-point contract and still, by the way, get paid whether you had sales or not, right? That's the power of the compensation plan. It's brilliant and it's completely transparent. Everyone knows what everyone else in the company is making, and I like that. Keeps all the cards on the table. The first part, and if you look at this colorful flyer that recently came out from the company, which looks great, by the way, you see that the first 4 levels are shaded in gray, and then this line that's been drawn across here, above that here in the gray shaded area is base shop. That means non-builder vice president levels. That's considered being in the base shop, right? You know, when we start out in the business, we are in our own base shop, and then when we get promoted to the builder vice president level, then we become our own base shop as well. And then that is where the generational overrides kick in. In other words, if you're starting off at 30%, you raise up to 40%, you hire someone who's at 30%, they make a sale, you've got the spread of 10% there, right? You go to 50%, you have someone at 30%, you've got the spread now of 20%. If they hired someone in between, you get a spread of 10, they get a spread of 10. I would encourage you to sit down, if you're not familiar with this, and run through some scenarios and some examples and work with your trainer, work with your BVP, your builder vice president, et cetera, to learn exactly how that works, right? In the promotion process, starting off at the 30% contract. Now, remember, these are temporary positions. Our program is designed to get you to the builder vice president contract as quickly as possible, right? These are temporary training positions. You come in at 30%, you complete 5 simple steps in the first 10 days, which we give the Sprint Award out for, right? That's complete your own personal plan, meet with the spouse, develop your list, do 3 to 5 field presentations, and submit your licensing paperwork. Right? We have folks that do that in 48 hours, do that in 2 or 3 days, right? So you can do that at any time. If you do it in the first 10 days, that's the Sprint Award. You get a promotion, right? Go to the 40%. And then follow the guidelines and the qualifications down the right-hand side for each one of those contracts going forward. By the way, as you start to go up the ladder from 65 to 70 and then beyond, building teams makes it so much easier to get those promotions. In fact, at the upper levels, I would say that it was very, very difficult to do that at the on personal production, the power and the leverage of teams, and it's of course encouraged. And down the bottom here, when we look at what generations mean, is what if I am at 70% and I had someone on my team that was at 70% as well? Does that mean there's no more spread, there's no more override? Well, no. At that point, then you go to first generation builder vice president override. That means that if I had someone direct to me who was at 70, I was at 70, that means I would get an 8% generational override on my first generation of business vice president, or builder vice president. And that goes through 6 generations, right? 8, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1, down that scale there. In addition, now I also have the floating bonus. The floating bonus is paid through infinity. If I was at 73% and everyone on my team was at 70% or below, and not only would I get the generational, but I also get a 3% bonus through infinity. No matter how deep or how big that team is, I get a 3% bonus on all that business that's being done. You can see how the reward and the incentive, if you will, is to get up the chart as quickly as you can and capture that. And then at the CEO bonus level, at this 93% contract with these qualification guidelines, the company is now paying a 2% bonus on the entire company. How would you like to be able to not only override your team, have the infinity floating bonuses, have the generational overrides, override your base shop, and get a piece and a percentage of the entire company paid? Those bonuses, we're expecting them to be close to 6 figures initially and growing later on, 6 figures per month, and close to that very shortly here and going forward to get even bigger. Okay, drilling down a little bit into the levels we covered. We know what does it take, and Al's going to talk some more about what does it take to move up the compensation plan. What's the plan to do that? And following that plan is as closely as possible. You know, the easiest start is a fast start, right? And no matter where you are or what's gone on with you and your business, you can always start over starting today. And this just drills down a little bit deeper into, you can, as a blow up, to see what these numbers are. This is all available at the Freedom Equity Group website as well. Okay, so know what those numbers are. You know, I just recently brought some new folks on in the business, and they're young, energetic go-getters. They're not shooting, they're looking at the numbers in between, but their goal is the CEO level. They're saying, what is it going to take me in the next 18 to 24 months to get to that CEO level? You know, it's kind of like martial arts when they break the boards. They don't project their power to the front of the board. They project it through the board, right? So project through those promotional levels and seek to the top, right? Aim at the stars, and at least you'll land on the moon, right? And this is just another blow up of that. By the way, I want to let everyone know, if you're not aware of this, Freedom Equity Group works on very, very thin margins. It's a very generous compensation plan, and it is a lot higher payouts to the field than any other marketing company out there in the industry or business that I have ever seen. In fact, you know, my practice company, my compensation just about doubled moving to Freedom Equity Group. So powerful, brilliant, and can't be beat out there in the industry, especially with a multi-pay compensation plan. Here's some of the fine print that you'll find on the flyer. Adjusted value, what does that mean? That means that no more than 1/3 of your production credit can come from any one leg. And that's moving to the senior promotion levels, meaning you have to have a well-balanced team, not just hiring one hotshot superstar that's going to take you to the top of the comp plan, but to have a balanced and well-rounded team. All promotional credit is based on closed target premium only, you know, issue paid business, right? That makes sense. And these guidelines, of course, are subject to change, and you must be licensed in order to receive insurance commissions, right? No surprises there with that. What are the 10 ways that we get paid? Well, you know, we focus mainly on personal, base shop, and generational, right? Personal, of course, is if you write business. Base shop means that first shaded gray area, meaning your spread between your contract and your base shop. And then generational overrides means your other BVP, Builder Vice President and above contracts. That's where the 6 generations of overrides come from. In addition, you know, we have our education, license, training, reimbursement, our fast track bonuses. Al's going to talk about that. Field training, not only field training in those split sales with the folks that are on your team, but there's also an opportunity to cross-collateralize or cross-team field train as well. The CEO bonus pool, boy, is that exciting? You know, to get a $50,000, $80,000, $100,000 monthly check on the production of the company, you know, that is the ultimate. Well, let me say this: the Builder Vice President contract is the ultimate contract in the business. From there, it's just degrees, right? It's a promotion in the contract level, but get to the Builder Vice President contract as quickly as possible, because life really begins at that level, okay? In addition, our business, of course, pays renewals, and we also receive overrides on the renewals of those that are on our team. The company does incredible trips and incentives. The next one coming up here is to Mexico, 5-star, all-inclusive, just a fun, wonderful thing, great vacation. Shoot for the trips and the contests. Go for them, because even if you don't make it, maybe this time, you'll get it next time. But in the process of going for the trips and the incentives, you'll end up with a much, much bigger business and, of course, greater income along the way. And it's the linking together of your teams, of them fighting for their promotions, fighting for their trips, fighting for the incentives, fighting for their team and their families, right, that ends up linking together that alignment of our collective goals that really lifts and raises it all up, right? And then number 10, I think, is bound to be one of the biggest parts, if not the biggest part of our compensation, is to build it, sell it, share it. And that will be for those that hit certain income and production targets. And that will be nothing to buy. It's a giveaway, a gift from the company as an incentive for to help us, and a reward for having the field team, the field agents built the company. And that very, very generous on the company's point of view to do that. My plan is to get as much of that equity share as I possibly can. Okay, maybe you haven't seen this before, but this is our income calculator. And this is a kind of a what if. I think, Jeff, maybe this is downloadable in the back office. If not, we can certainly get it to you and show you how to use it and where it comes from. This calculator is based off of the business vice president, the BVP contract, which is a 70% contract. And everything that's in yellow is changeable, right? All of the other fields are not. And a way to kind of what if, what is it going to take me to make my income goals? What do I have to do in order to do that? A combination of personal sales and team sales and so on, right? And we zeroed out this sheet here just to make sure, of course, that all the zeros carried across. Number one. Number two is, if there's zeros in production, right? It means, of course, that there are, you don't do anything. Of course, there is no income. And I don't have the calculator pulled up. I could always come back and pull it up, but for team sales, I know what these numbers are. I've been doing them, and I usually show it as 4 personal sales on a monthly basis, $300 average target commission. That's $3,600 a year. Now, with $300 a month, we're not talking about millionaires here, right? We're talking about average, average America saving, $300-400 per month kind of thing. And if you were to do 4 of those at a 70% contract level, that's well over $100,000 a year. That's a 6-figure income. You have a small team of 2 associates at each one of these levels. That more than doubles your income. You're looking at about 16 sales per month. You doing 4 and the rest of your team doing 12, you're bumping close to $500,000 in income. Now that is extremely exciting. Not a tremendous amount of, not a huge number of people on your team, not a huge number of sales, and not a huge number to be saving average person per client, right? Very, very powerful, very, very doable as well. And like I said, I like to share this with our new business partners so they can what if their own scenarios and use that to set their goals, right? We talked about the orange and the orange tree and some of the noble exchanges, and some part of that noble exchange is, being trained in our business, being coached, being mentored. Well, folks need to be paid for that, and as you're able to do more, you will earn more, right? So your personal sale is an exchange for your trainer to help train you, to teach you the software, to teach you the system, to teach you our prospecting. Even folks that have industry experience are not familiar with our system and what we're doing, and our trainers should be compensated, right? I would never ask anyone to work for free. I wouldn't want you to work for free, and neither do I like to work for free. And we talked about 3 training sales as a minimum. I don't know how in the world you could learn this business from scratch with just 3 training sales. So it's probably not a bad idea to be doing more splits, and especially if you get into sophisticated or more higher-end scenarios, right? Because 50% of something is a lot better than 100% of nothing. You know, your promotion must be earned. How in the world can you expect your team to earn their promotions if you're not earning yours, right? And that's the way I feel about it. You know, we want to, being noble in these noble exchanges, is we want to treat others as we want to be treated, right? Promote your leaders and your teams, and you know, promote unto others as you would have them promote unto you. And I think that we got one more slide here. You know, when it comes to superstars, you know, how do I, you know, I have folks say to me, Brian, you know, I just want to go out there and recruit a certain type of person, a superstar. And I say, well, you know, if you're able to do that and figure out how that works, please let me know, because I never have. You know, and every time that I've ever thought that I tried to guess who was going to be a superstar and who wasn't, I was, you know, almost always wrong, right? People always surprise me in both directions, right? If you do the law of large numbers, the law of averages will start to work for you, meaning I feel that we never know what's in someone's heart. It's not for me to prejudice or prejudge who's going to be good at this business and who's not going to be. Now, there are certain things, of course, that we're looking for. We're looking for people who are willing to work, people who have commitment, you know, people who are plugged in. And we've talked about this on previous calls. You know, is this someone who I would have to my home for dinner? Is this someone I enjoy being around? If the answer to that is no, then you know, I probably would not hit that recruiting button. But if it was yes, then give everyone the chance. You know, we have some incredible stars on our team that have had very humble beginnings, and thank God someone gave them the chance, the shot, and the opportunity. And I ask this, you know, do you think that, you know, some people doubt that they might be able to find a superstar, but do you think it's possible that if you had enough folks helping you, that maybe you could find someone who found a superstar? And if you had the law of large numbers, lots of people helping you, then wouldn't it be inevitable that the law of averages would find those superstars? Again, remember, lots of people doing a little, being led by a few that do a lot. So I want to thank you for my portion of the presentation. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Al Cardi. Al, can you hear me okay? And
I can hear you great, Brian.
Over to you.
Just go ahead and pass the screen over to me. I mean, you covered on a number of different things this morning, and that's fantastic. What I want to do now is I'm going to do a couple of things. I mean, 2 things. One, how many of you have ever sat down with an industry person? Brian touched on it. And folks, look, I hope you're paying attention to this here. I know we got a number of people on this call. Don't be multitasking. Take the next 15 to 20 minutes. Focus, okay? Let's concentrate here, because I know this happens to each and every one of you on this call. Of course, we're talking to people here that are already in our business, so I'm addressing to you. This is a training point for you to be able to go out there, and if you're talking to industry people, how you can get them more engaged. And then I want to wrap it up by talking to the new people on this call as well. But Brian brought out a good point, and here's a presentation I did for a group just recently. What is Freedom Equity Group all about? Well, the common stuff here is you know, okay? I mean, we're a company that our focus is on, you know, life insurance with living benefits, life insurance you don't have to die to use, needless to say, a retirement income planning, more efficient tax-free income strategies, guaranteed income annuities with living benefits, turn your 401k IRA into a pension type plan. But what we also are is we have a turnkey builder system. It's proven, it's profitable, it's predictable. Look, folks, it just flat works. I mean, for those of you that are running the system, you obviously know that. You run the system, and the system will build your business for you. So what about the times when you're sitting with a general agent or somebody who says, I have a larger contract, right? See, our mission here is we're all about building teams. Nobody wants to work by themselves. Remember, the personal producer is unemployed every day. Not every other day. He's unemployed every day. He's got to go find another deal, right? So what is the value of being part of FEG? So I'm going to say, let's talk about FEG versus the general agency system. You understand what I mean by general agency? That's a linear format. When if you were to have your own agency, I'm not even talking about you just being a producer. I'm saying if you had your own agency, you'd be hiring or recruiting people direct to your agency. There's no growth. There's no system. There's no team unity. So I'm going to make a couple of assumptions as the difference between FEG versus the general agency. So here are the assumptions. Number one, that your group can build an infrastructure as good or better than what we already have in place. That's a tall order. Number two, that you can do this overnight in all 50 states. Okay? So with that said, what does FEG provide? Well, we provide licensure in all 50 states, right? FEG is licensed nationwide, all 50 states. You don't have to worry about that if you were a general agency. We handle all the agent contracting with all the carriers. We even coach and train on pre-licensing where it's needed. We've got high commission payouts for both builders and producers. Why is that a key point? Folks, I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but it's important you understand this, that look, you can't serve 10 masters. But when you're part of a big group like Freedom Equity Group, we can serve more than one master because we have a large producer group. Commissions paid on a weekly basis. Okay? What else do we provide? Training. Like this one here. Webinars weekly. We pride ourselves on that. Regional live events. Super Saturdays. Red carpets. Annual kickoff. Kickoff events like we had in Vegas in January. Annual events like we're going to have in July in Minneapolis. Local offices around the country. A technology one-time $125 cost. Technology replicating sites with an ARM and CRM attached to it. Okay? Annual incentive trips. Access to agents around the country. Fully trained to start and help you immediately. Split cases where needed. What does that mean? Well, let's say you have a client in California and you live in Texas. Well, how do you sit in front of that client? Well, you can do it on a Join Me, yes, or you can connect with somebody that's in California that can do a split case with you. Coaching and mentoring, Brian talked about this. Reporting for all clients and agents will help you build your team within the FEG system. So what else? There's more. What would be the cost of service to you? So now that's all that is already provided. What about overhead? Offices, buildings, labor, training, recruitment, technology. I don't know. What's the cost of all that? Would it be 35% of your gross profit, 50% of your gross profit? Again, I talked to a gentleman just recently, and I said, listen, you've got a large contract. What do you net? What is your net profit from your business? This is what we do, right? It's all about building a business. He said, well, we hope to earn 20% profit. Yeah, I can understand. With all the stuff I just talked about, overhead, labor, training, recruitment, and technology added onto that, if you had a 120% contract, and by the way, folks, as you know, most people don't get that, what would be your net profit? You take 120% and you take all the costs we just talked about, you add that all up. What do you actually earn? Folks, that's why our compensation plan is second to none. I can show you mathematically and literally how somebody on a 75% contract will out-earn someone on a 120% contract every day because of the model that we have, okay? So Brian just kind of hit a nerve with me there, and I wanted to share that with everybody because I think it's important for you to be armed with this information when you're talking to people. Now I want to shift gears a little bit here, and I want to move towards if somebody's new in our business. If you're new in our business, here's what you need to focus on. Now, you saw the compensation plan, and I'm going to just put it up there again. Here is the real essence and beauty of our comp plan. If you really study this as I have, it is designed for you to win when you help other people win. It is the most unselfish compensation plan in history, in my opinion, because it really requires you to work and help other people. And that's really what our mission is all about, right? I mean, look, America needs our help, not just from a client standpoint, folks. We already know that. America needs our help because about half this population, the adult population, is not working full time. They need to make more money for their families. They need to find a solution to do that, and we do that here. Well, it's not enough just to bring people on board. We need to help them through the process. So our guidelines, which, by the way, are not law, they're guidelines, they're structured to help people by helping others, which is what I love. So if I were to boil this down and say, okay, you're brand new on this call, you just started with us in the last week, what do you have to do? I'm going to show you a 60-day plan to vice president, which is the 65% here in the gray area. Because, see, from there, the next level, BVP, is where all the magic happens. But you can get from a training rep to a VP in 60 days if you follow the plan. And I'm going to show you the plan right now. The first is the Sprint Award. We call it Become a Qualified Associate. You've heard the 5 and 10. What does that mean? Complete the first 5 steps. Complete your personal plan. 3 to 5 short presentations. Have your spouse look at what we do. If you have a spouse or significant other, create your inventory. Start your licensing process. Folks, in most states, you can get through the licensing requirements, meaning the pre-license, and get in and take your multiple choice exam in 2 weeks or less. Where there's a will, there's a way. There are some people who do it in a week. There's no reason for that to take 2 months or 3 months or 4 months. It can be done in a couple of weeks. That's with a concentrated effort of spending some time actual studying, 2 or 3 hours a day. Within a week or 10 days, you can be prepared. This is not like passing the bar, folks. You know, you don't need to be an attorney here or a judge. You just need to get a license, right? Once you complete those 5 steps, you get promoted to 40%. Now, if you're following my lead here, what's going to happen is that you should be licensed within a month. Now, I understand some states could take a little bit longer. I'm just saying as a general rule, you get licensed within a month. But in your first 30 days, so this is your first 10 days. What's that now? Really, realistically, you can do this in 24 hours. What's your next goal? 30 days. Just duplicate yourself with 3 people. Just find 3 personal qualified associates. Kind of looks like this here. There's you, and you introduce 3 people to the business. Remember, your trainer is doing all the work. They're helping you with 3-way calls. They're helping you with presentations. They're helping you transact business, okay, and turning those people into a qualified associate. You do 3 of those in your first 30 days. A couple of things happen. Number 1, if you do 6,000 points, you qualify for your training reimbursement once you're licensed, and you're promoted to 50%. That all happens at the same time. So now you've gone from a training rep to a rep and a rep to a district manager. Well, what's next? Well, you've gotten your training reimbursement, assuming you have your license in hand. We're talking about 30 days later, and you've completed all the steps of the Education License Training Expense Reimbursement, or for short, ELT program. You're going to get reimbursed $900 for your efforts from your trainer. Well, isn't that great? You've been in the business 30 days, right? Now, folks, this is not just for you because you're already here. This is for the people you're talking to, okay? In their first 30 days, how many people can work in a system part-time in their first 30 days, have somebody teach them every step of the business, and at the end of 30 days actually get $900 in their hand? Not too many opportunities like that, folks, but they got one here. What do they need to do the next 60 days? The next 30 days? Here's your fast, as I call it, fast track to VP. Now, we're making an assumption here that you've got your license in hand after 30 days, and now you and your trainer are going to take the 3 qualified associates that just joined you in the prior month, and they're going to duplicate what you did in the next 30 days. Now, I know some of you out there saying, well, Al, you know, in a perfect world, that's how it works. You're right, and it may change, but if you can get 3 in a month, then 3 other people can get 3 in a month also. That happens. Here's what you got. You got 3 direct qualified associates. You have 19 qualified associates. You have created 3 district managers. If you've done 20,000 points, you are now promoted to the VP contract at 65%. Well, those 19 qualified associates also mean that 9 team sales were done. So if we just use a $3,000 annual sale, that's $27,000 of production. Now you might say, well, geez, you know, I'm not prepared to train everybody. I got you. We got you covered. What if your trainer trained all those people for you because you weren't in a position to write their business, but you were licensed? And through our field training program, you were on every application at 25% because you weren't competent or confident enough to train them at that point. Well, what would happen? Well, in your first 10 days, you sprinted. In your first 30 days, you earned $900 and got your training reimbursement because you got your license and you completed the ELT. And then in your next 30 days, your 3 qualified associates became district managers just like you. Well, that amount of production, even at 25% at your level, would be an additional $3,300 of income. Well, what does that mean? In your first 60 days, if you followed me here, that's $4,200 plus of income in your first 60 days. Now, look, you may be a teacher, an engineer, a stay-at-home mom, whatever. It doesn't matter what you do. What would an extra couple of $1,000s a month part-time, because that's what that averages out to, mean? Folks, that puts you on pace if you duplicate this to build a 6-figure income. Now, remember what I said. I'm going to just go back again. I want to make sure everybody understood what I said. This is making an assumption. In 30 days, you got your license in hand, and in your second 30 days, your 3 qualified associates actually did what you did. No reason why they can't if you did. While on those 9 team sales that occurred, you weren't prepared to do them yourself. Your trainer did them, and you only got 25% credit. That's $4,275 of income in your first 60 days, but more importantly, you have a business that is poised to explode. And now you have an opportunity to become a builder vice president in the next 30, 60, 90 days because now you have a team of people to help you do it. So hopefully what you've gotten out of this session today, and it has been recorded, is that I think Brian did an extensive job on helping you understand why our program works. In the presentation I just did to you prior, folks, I'm telling you, you can do the math as many times as you like, that a 65 or 70 or 75% contract, a builder's contract, will beat out a 120% contract each and every day, and you won't have to worry about being unemployed every day because you have to go find another piece of business. When you have a team, you build a passive income, okay? And lastly, for people that are brand new here, you don't have to be intimidated by the numbers. You know, what got me in this business 30 years ago, somebody said, how would you like to make an extra $500 to $1,000 a month part-time? I had a job. I wanted more money. That's all it took to get me involved. Folks, for those of you on this call that are out there building, and I know we got a lot of leaders on this call too, let's not lose sight of the fact that it's not always $1 million a year that moves somebody. It can be as short as making an extra $1,000 a month, $1,200 a month, $1,500 a month that gets people started. That's why our system here of here's what you need to do in 10 days, 30 days, 60 days is all they really need to get started. They'll figure out the rest on their own. So thanks for taking the time today. I appreciate all you do, and